as far as those talks is concerned?
Yes, I want to believe that there should be a progress. There should be progress. They've made some progress because from their discussion and then what we heard from the news this morning from AIT is like they're making progress.
So there's not been any communication from the national leadership of the NLC to the state executives.
Yes, we're having a NEC meeting this afternoon by 1 p.m.
Okay.
I think in that meeting is where they will tell us whether to proceed tomorrow or not to proceed.
But as it stands, with no communication from the executive, it means if negotiations don't go positively, tomorrow the strike will take.
Yes.
But let's look critically at this proposed strike action. What really is it set to achieve? Does grinding the entire machinery of the economy, of government and the state necessary to be able to achieve your position of relieving cash crunch, doesn't that increase the burden of the average worker and the average Nigerian?
My brother, that is the problem we have in Nigeria. That the government in Nigeria doesn't hear anything except strike action. You can meet them severally, negotiate, have an agreement, they offer to adhere to it. But when there is this strike action, that is when they remember to call the level and then start negotiating with them. That is the only language they can hear, strike.
Really?
Apart from that, they will not do anything.
Are you saying, because I'm wondering, are you saying that it is the strike action that brings result? Let's look back at the last strike action by the university lecturers that lasted 8 months. I mean, at the end, are we saying that the university system has recovered from the resultant effect of that 8-month strike? Have they truly gotten the dividends of that strike action?
Right now, I cannot say actually. But I want to also believe that the lecturers are working towards making up those months they could not do anything. But I remember there was a time they were arguing for their salary for those 8 months. But for me, I think lectures have been on since they resumed. And they are working tirelessly to make sure that they meet up with the lost months.
Yeah, but what about the students who are the most affected in all of this? We have a distorted educational calendar that has made life very tough for students, especially students in specialized fields, medicine, biochemistry, who are supposed to be in line with their counterparts in other parts of the world and to be able to pursue their careers. Isn't this factored into when strike actions of this nature are planned? Do we look at the end effect and the aftermath of the possibility of those strike actions?
Yeah, those problems must be there. They must be there because for you to, meet up with your number of years of study, and you're supposed to follow it the way it's planned. But when this strike has come in, definitely it must affect the students in one way or the other.
Okay, but let's look at your strike action set for tomorrow. Talks are ongoing. What now? At the executive level, what was the thought out plan that immediately you threaten a strike action? What were you expecting, or what are you expecting government at all level to do to ease this cash crunch? Are you expecting the CBN to automatically just pump liquidity into the system, or what's the plan that you expect that government would put into effect?
Well, we expect government to do the needful by making sure that money circulates within all these banks.
But there's been liquidity in the system.
Yes, right now
there has been improvement. There has been improvement as compared to going into the election. There had been improvement. right? And then shortly after, the CBN has given directives to banks to even work on weekends. Isn't that enough to show that there is something being done by the Apex Bank to ensure there is adequate liquidity? And then don't forget that the law that sets up the CBN also empowers it to control the volume of liquidity in the system. So it's supposed to be a systematic, influx of or inflow of liquidity, and it's supposed to be controlled by the CBN, and watched by the CBN. So isn't this strike action a bit too hasty on the part of Labour?
You see, I think the action of the CBN now, the action they gave, the instruction they gave to the banks to even work on Saturday and Sundays is just as a result of the ultimatum given to them. So now, this morning, we are asked to go around and find out what is actually happening at the condition of things now. We've been able to go around most of the banks and then discover that I think those problems are being gradually going down. I think that's the report we are going to present to the meeting we are having this afternoon by 1 p.m.
But has the NLC seriously taken time to look at this matter? The subject of cashless policy didn't start today. It has always been in the offering and in the pipeline. The current administration of the CBN has only fast-tracked it, considering the fact that there was need for certain measures to be put in place in the build-up to the 2023 general elections. Are we saying that when government puts policy in place that are supposed to be in the interest of the people, that because the people are uncomfortable, those policies are automatically bad? Is that what we're saying?
You see, the NLC is not against the cashless policy.
But that's the body. That seems to be the body language for you to issue a 7-day ultimatum and then say that cash must be pushed into the system without considering the entire framework of the policy, but simply to win probably cheap popularity with the populace.
You see, all of us are living in this country, and we have experienced this hardship for the past 2 months now. We are not saying the CBN should not go ahead with their policy. But what we are saying is that there should be a remedy. There should be some kind of trying to rescue people from all these sufferings. What we are saying is that the cashless policy is okay. But the problem is that the way they handled it, in other countries are learned.
Okay, so
they said once you put up this kind of policy,
yes,
you allow it to flow for some. And that was why even the National Assembly came the first and said, no, why not we do this thing gradually so people will not suffer. Let us allow the new one and the old one to flow. Within some time, you can gradually begin to remove the old ones and then allow the new one to flow, not just to come in and say, today is the deadline. And to end like that, people suffered a lot within these 2 months. And we cannot just keep quiet and see our people suffering. I think that was the essence of
Mr. Wike, Nigerians have always suffered. We have been in depression like almost forever in the last 8 years. So,
is that the best?
So hold on. So at every point in time that we say Nigerians have always, our poverty mark has not improved. It has rather gone down. So when we say Nigerians are suffering, we make it sound as if it is something that just happened now. What I would have expected, and that's why I started with that first question. Why strike action? Has strike actions really produced the kind of results that don't you think that strike actions are a bit old-fashioned, considering that we're in the 21st century? When last did you hear any country on the Western Hemisphere go on strike?
You see, when I started this program, I said that is the only language Nigerian government can hear. If you keep quiet, you don't put them to this kind of pressure. They won't do anything.
Is it the Nigerian government you're putting into pressure or the Nigerian people? Because it's the Nigerian people that will suffer when the systems are shut down. Banks won't work, markets will be closed. Who suffers? Is the people. So have you really thought out this plan when it comes to this proposed strike action?
Yes, we know in such a situation, people, will have one or two hardship. But what we are saying is that when at the beginning of the strike, people will suffer. But at the end of the day, we tend to achieve something.
So,
and that was why I said that is the only language government will hear.
Okay, isn't that in itself double standard? You're blaming the government for implementing a policy that puts hardship on the people, and then you are now going ahead to do a strike that will also put people through some level of hardship for a certain period of time. Isn't that double standards?
I will not look at it as double standard. Okay, let's take this one for example. You gave them 7 days ultimatum. I know for the past 2 months, you cannot see money anywhere. People started even selling money to their fellow Nigerians, selling Nigerian money to a Nigerian.
Exactly.
And for these 7 days that was given to the bank, is it not now that this money is coming out now?
Now the people that were selling
their money in the banks.
Was it that it was a government policy for people to sell money to their fellow Nigerians, or it's the fact that it's an attitudinal thing? The fact that rather than look at how to effectively implement policies and allow those policies to yield the result that they're supposed to yield, we are quick to react. We are more reactionary in our approach to dealing with new policies rather than being proactive. I think isn't that the challenge that the NLC is faced with?
My brother, I think we all are involved in this problem. We are all involved in this problem, and there is need for people to understand, and then the government to do their own work. If government is doing what they're supposed to do we need to talk about strike? We don't. If government is doing what they're supposed to do, follow the things the way they're supposed to follow it, there should be no need for labor talking about strike action. And that was why I said, once you declare strike action, that is when the people in government will now remember, call them or let's discuss. But if you write letters from now till tomorrow, nobody will respond to your letters until you give them ultimatum to act on those letters. That is when they will now start calling you for a meeting. And that is the way we are looking at the whole thing. This is what we are talking about. This morning now, every person has been suffering, trying to access the money you kept in the bank. You cannot access it. Even if you decide, even ordinary transfer, if you are talking about cashless, you cannot transfer your money freely. You cannot do any transaction and it works for you. So what are we talking about? Government is not doing what they're supposed to do. So we have no other option than to force them to do it. That is why we are there to work for our people.
Mr. Wike, prior to the 7-day ultimatum, did Labour approach the leadership of the Apex Bank to have a conversation, a dialogue on this policy and its after effects on the Nigerian populace?
Well, let me not go, because one, I think our national headquarters is on that. In the meeting, they've been writing to all these quarters to tell them what and what to do, which they did not do. Down here, we only listen to instruction given to us from the headquarters, and they are the person that said.
So you're not sure that Labour before now had engaged the CBN and the quarters of the CBN, most importantly, on this subject before now?
I want to believe they did that. I want to believe they did that before this instruction came up to us.
Because I being the fourth estate of the REM, I cannot recall where we have correspondence of Labour engaging the CBN or the Minister of Finance on this subject before now. But what what really hit the mainstream was the 7-day ultimatum and the position of Labour. Okay, let me even ask this. Beyond the strike action, what possible solutions is Labour putting on the table to prefer to the CBN as they meet with the governor of the CBN and the Minister of Labour and Employment? What possible solutions are they bringing to the table?
Well, that was why I said we are having a next meeting by 1 p.m. They had a meeting yesterday. But the outcome of that meeting is what we don't know. And they're going to let us know the outcome by 1 p.m. when we meet.
Mr. Wike, are you saying that the national leadership of Labour went into these talks without clear definition of what they are bringing to the table to engage the governor of the CBN and the Minister of Labour and Employment with? Because I would have expected that
one is left for the national headquarters. I don't know about that one.
No,
I can only tell you what's obtainable here, and then what they have communicated to us. For now, they've not told anything to us until 1 p.m. when we meet.
Okay, well, Mr. Wike, we'll take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll come back to this conversation because I need some clarity as to how Labour is intending to deal with this matter. We'll be back shortly.
Guy, which kind of paint have you used? We go make my house go well.
Na Sarklos paint.
Paint we go make my house shine.
Sarklos paint.
What about paint we go last for plenty years?
Na still Sarklos paint. Sarklos paint na ogbonge paint when done win both national and international award on top paint matters.
Abeg, where dem dey?
Dem dey nationwide. Sarklos paint get one ogbonge what they call Sarklos satin paint. If dirty touch the paint, you fit use water and soap take clean and cha-cha. Sarklos paint get other ones like emulsion paint, test coat, gloss, sack flash car paint, matte, industrial marine coating, red oxide primer, aluminium, screening paint, auto varnish, and other Barbares products. For that correct building paint when you need na Sarklos paint. Their price na shipping. For more information, call 070-3090-4125.
Hi, welcome to another day in the life of a Gen Z still living in Nigeria. As much as I recommend Googling every and anything, because of course there is unlimited information on the internet, I also recommend listening to what I would term the wisdom of the old. Remember when Common said this?
It take the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy.
Yeah. A lot of us Gen Zers are losing sight of the beauty of the wisdom of people older than we are. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with a millennial, and he shared a tradition he's been practicing that helps him to completely eliminate all forms of jealousy and envy. And trust me, I don't think I would have found a more relatable analogy, at least not easily, on any corner of the internet. So this is me saying, do not despise the wisdom of the old. Because, I mean, people have been living in this one world long before you came. So chill. Okay, that's it.
Celebrating your family and friends has become cheap like a cup of tea, easy as ABC, and rapid like it should be. You can send birthday greetings and goodwill messages on Rapid FM for just 1,000 Naira. Other events like weddings, child dedication, housewarmings, religious and government functions go for even less, 500 Naira. Now, your loved ones have no excuse not to celebrate you rapidly on your day because all they have to do is visit our website at www.rapidfm965.com/request or call 07049-220965.
Let's talk politics, dynamics, and permutations.
It is a concern that we have for our country, Nigeria. This is beyond partisan politics. It's unfortunate. And these are the kind of people who say they are leaders of this country. What example are they showing as leaders of the country?
Let's keep you abreast with the happenings in the polity.
Nigeria is on drip and on oxygen. And how can we get out of this?
I am an employer of the president. I pay the president's salary. I pay the bills of his family. And he must protect me.
Standpoint. the center of all talks of politics.
Standpoint, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. on Rapid 96.5 FM, Umahia.
Oh, Nigeria is more Nigeria than any Nigeria.
If you're just joining us, you are listening to Tuesday's edition of Standpoint on Rapid 96.5 FM. I have, in the last 35 minutes thereabout, been speaking with the caretaker NLC chairman of Abia State in the person of Mr. Nwike. And we have been looking at developments in the build-up to tomorrow's proposed strike. A 7-day ultimatum had been given by the NLC leadership, and as we speak, just yesterday, to avert a nationwide strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, and the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, yesterday met with the leadership of the Congress. And Emefiele appealed to Ngige to prevail on the leadership of the NLC over its planned protest slated for tomorrow. The NLC leadership had issued a 7-day ultimatum, as I said earlier, to the federal government to end the Naira scarcity in the country. NLC President Joe Ajaero had threatened that the Congress would go on strike if the issue was not resolved at the expiration of the 7-day ultimatum. Ngige subsequently had invited the Apex Bank leadership and the NLC to a meeting yesterday to resolve the matter. As I said, Mr. Nwike and I have been having a chat on this proposed strike action. And before we went on the break, Mr. Nwike, I hope you're still with us.
Yes.
Yeah. Before we went on the break, I was trying to confirm from Mr. Nwike if there was some communication as to what exactly the national leadership of the NLC was taking to the table in yesterday's meeting with the leadership of the Apex Bank and, of course, the Minister of Labour and Employment. So, Mr. Nwike, I was asking, are you saying that as the caretaker NLC chairman of Abia State, you do not have a clear insight into what the agenda was with the national leadership of the NLC before it went into yesterday's meeting?
The agenda is this. It's just there now. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about the issue of cash.
Yes.
In the country.
True.
I think that should be the main agenda. If there are other agendas, they went for that meeting. I don't know.
Okay, beyond
this one is the major agenda is the money scarcity.
Yes, the cash scarcity. But what I'm asking is the national leadership going with some proposed solution to the problem? Do they have certain solutions that they want to prefer to the CBN, and of course with the Minister of Labour and Employment as will I say witness to the discussions on how to resolve the issue of the cash crunch?
I believe they should have now. They cannot just enter there without having a solution to the problem. They should have.
Okay, so let's come to Abia State. You said the instruction is for you to monitor and then report back. So what's the situation with Abia State from your monitoring reports?
Yes, I think there's an improvement. People can now access money even up to 100,000.
Yeah,
but the queue is still there.
The queue, don't you think the queue will be there for a while?
That is normal. It's normal. It will take time to ease off.
Yes.
As this morning, I went around and discovered people are collecting money. But the queue is still there. We want to believe that with time, it will go down.
Okay, let me ask this for clarity. Before Labour all of a sudden woke up and decided to give an ultimatum, was it that there were reports that people were not having access to cash? Because, like I said, prior to the election, yes, there was a serious crunch. But shortly after the presidential elections on the 25th of February 2023, there had been deliberate attempts by the federal government and particularly the CBN to ease liquidity into the system, because there at some different directives had been given to banks at different times between that time and when the gubernatorial elections took place. So what happened? What triggered Labour deciding to take this action at this time?
Even after the presidential election, that problem continued until this 7 days were given. That problem continued even after the presidential election. It didn't solve any problem. And all of us normally visit banks. Even the banks were not even giving money even after the election. People go to banks, stay for money. People even sleep at the ATM houses. People go to bank and stay the whole day without collecting 1 naira. At times, they'll give you 2,000, 3,000. What will you do with 2,000, 3,000? It was when Labour came in, they now said, please work on Saturday. Why they got this one is what I don't know. Work on Saturday and Sunday. And that Saturday and Sunday work really helped to reduce this tension. As of today, people can now go into the bank, collect money and come out. So I want to believe that it is this ultimatum that made them, how they brought the money is what I don't know. But I want to believe that what they did, the 7 days given to them, had spurred them to actually do something.
So Labour right now will be quick to say they are being very influential, or to want to take credit for whatever changes has occurred with regards to the cash crunch.
Yeah, I want to believe so. Because if you just walk around now, you see people, smiling. I saw somebody who went to the bank and collected 100,000. I was even trying to kiss that 100,000. That for the past 2 months, he cannot even access 10,000. Not talk of getting 20 or thereabout. If you go to the bank now, you see people coming out with the bank with smiles. Unlike before now, where people will stay in the sun for the whole day without getting 1 naira. It's not fair.
Okay, let me take you back to something you said earlier. You talked about other countries that have implemented such policies. In other countries, especially in the Western clime, you don't see citizens walking about with large sums of money.
Yeah, that was why I said that Labour is not against the cashless policy. But what we are against is that this should be taken gradually. It should take gradual process. That's why I say why I mentioned the other countries that I was told that in some countries, even when they change the naira, when they change the currency, you may not know, but they will gradually begin to bring out the new ones and then gradually take in the old ones. Before you know it, people will not even feel the impact. But in their own case, you see, they just came 2 months from this time, you will not use this old currency again. But people are rushing, trying to change, which was it even possible for them to go to the bank and pay in the old one. Yeah, and after paying the old one, they now cannot even access the old one, can also access the new one.
Yeah, but did Labour take into consideration that Nigeria may not have the systems and the structures as compared to other countries that have successfully redesigned their currency and implemented certain monetary policies to help control inflation and other negatives in their economy? Nigeria is still an evolving economy and an evolving nation. Has Labour taken that into consideration before?
You say Nigeria is still learning.
Nigeria is an evolving nation.
I'm even thinking of countries that Nigeria is far better than. Are we not giant of Africa?
What would be the indices that you use to qualify Nigeria as the giant of Africa? Is it mere population or in terms of economic growth?
You're supposed to know better than even myself that Nigeria is the giant of Africa, as we believe. But if things are not doing the way it's supposed to be done, that's left for the leadership. But as far as I know, it will be difficult for you to compare any other African countries to Nigeria in terms of economy and otherwise. So, if we are not doing what we're supposed to do as a government, nobody should be blamed.
But again, the question is, does everything fall on the doorstep of government? What about in terms of social orientation? Wouldn't it have been nice if Labour took the trouble of trying to sensitize and reorientate the working populace and the electorate, rather the people, about the cashless policy and the need for them to also allow the policy breathe?
I continue to say this. Labour is not against the policy. We are not against the policy.
That's the reason why I said.
And we also have the opportunity to talk to our people, our members. We are not against the policy, but what we are against is the timing. It's not the timing. You don't just wake up one day and say, "I've stopped using 500 naira, 200 naira, and 1,000." It cannot be automatic like that. Things should be followed the way it's supposed to be followed.
So how did Labour expect the CBN to implement this policy?
Well, I think by that yesterday meeting they heard, I want to believe that leadership must have advised government on that issue. And then, like we said, or like the judgment from the Supreme Court, give people up to December. While doing that, also make sure that you try to make sure that these new notes are available. If the notes are available, then I don't think we have this kind of suffering we had within this period.
All right, Mr. Weke, I want to appreciate you making out time to be part of this conversation. We hope that we will get to talk to you again. You said you will be having your next meeting later today, and we hope that that meeting will yield fruitful results that will be in the interest of all Nigerians and, of course, in the interest of the Nigerian Labour Congress.
I think that is our prayers. That is our prayer. Definitely, that's our prayers.
So just before I let you go, what would be your words of encouragement and support to the labor force here in Abia State?
Yes, we just came into this position few days ago. Even before then, I want to believe we were also part of the leadership. But this position we just assumed a few days ago. We all know what is happening in Abia State. And then I think our duty is to make sure that we really do everything humanly possible to make sure that people's salaries are paid, allowances are paid. I think that's the problem we are having with government in Abia State. And I want to believe that by the time we were able to move in fully, automatically the whole scenario will change. We need to have a very good Abia that will affect both the workers, the market people, and other people. We have a lot of jobs to do to make sure that things are done the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, shortly before the gubernatorial elections, Labour here in Abia went on strike.
Yes, we did.
So, and the government went into talks with Labour. Has the government fulfilled its own side of the agreement so far?
I want to say no. In our meeting yesterday, we discovered, they've done little of what we discussed the last time we met.
Now, when you say little, can you give us some insight into how little?
Well, you see, what this government is owing the workers is very, very much. There are too many. In most of the offices, they are owing up to 23, 24, even 30 months of salaries and allowances. For pensioners, that one is more than 30 months of pensioners. And now we agreed in that meeting that they will begin to pay both the teachers, the pensioners, and then leave allowance for the workers. But what we discovered yesterday when we had the meeting is that they were busy paying those at a lower cadre, their leave allowances. And the pensioners, they've not paid reasonably. And we have decided that yesterday we are going to write them.
As a reminder?
Another meeting.
Okay.
As a reminder. And then to schedule another. Of course, before then, we inaugurated some committees that will liaise with the government and see how they can offset most of these claims.
Okay.
But by yesterday, we discovered that what they have done already is not meaningful. So we are going to write them again. We also have another discussion with them on the way forward, depending when the new government will come in.
Okay, let me ask, prior to your agreement with the state government, did they give you some kind of schedule as to how they would clear the backlog in terms of both salaries, pensions, and arrears?
I think that was the reason for the committee that was set up.
Okay.
Committee was set up for the salaries and the arrears. And that committee was also set up for minimum wage.
Okay.
To go and work out the table for the minimum wage.
Okay, you're renegotiating the minimum wage for workers in Abia State.
You see, the government has already said 30,000 naira minimum wage.
Okay.
But in some states like ours, it has not been implemented. What government did was trying to, according to what the Commissioner of Finance was telling us, what we discovered, they just paid in 10,000 to some ministries. And we're trying to ask them, what is it 10,000 naira for? They say 30,000 minimum wage. Tell us how you come about this 10,000 naira you're giving to some staff. If you're talking about minimum wage, there should be a table for that minimum wage, which will affect every other staff in Abia State.
Okay.
But that was not done. So that was why we now had to set up a committee that will go in with the government and then come up with a table for minimum wage.
Is there a time frame for this to happen, considering the fact that the current administration is in its last lap? By May 29th, a new government should be in place. So is there a time frame that Labour in the state is hoping that all of this will be done?
Yeah, after that meeting, we agreed that they will start, the ones we said they should start paying. At the end of the election, I said, we are, after yesterday's meeting,
yes,
that we agreed to write to them through the committee to find out what they have done. If it doesn't tell you what we agreed, then we'll now go in for another discussion.
Okay, at this point, I know you are the caretaker chairman, but what would you effectively deliver on its promises to the people and in its negotiations with the state government?
Yes, so the first state meeting was held yesterday. And that was my first meeting with the SEC and the SAC. The page of labor in Abia State is shattered. And the first thing we need to work, we need to make this government sit up, especially when it comes to the workers' welfare.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Wike. We really appreciate that you made out time to be on this edition of Standpoint. And as I said during the course of the show, after your next meeting today, maybe we will have this conversation again so that you can once again enlighten us and the entirety of Abia what the position of Labour is after their engagement with the Apex, the leadership of the Apex Bank, and of course the Minister of...
Before that 1 p.m. I think that was why I could not come. Maybe next time I'll come around.
We will appreciate that you come in person and at least get the opportunity to see our facility. Thank you so much.
It's all right. It's all right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We have been talking with the caretaker chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Abia State chapter, and he has for the past 50-55 of the Apex Bank on the subject of the cash crunch. And that sums it up for today's edition of Standpoint. I have been your host, Nkamian John, also known as the Beloved and the Controversial. And hopefully tomorrow we will bring you another insightful edition of the show. But most importantly, keep it locked on Rapid 96.5 FM, the sound of your city. Remember to follow and like Rapid 96.5 on all social media handles on Facebook, Twitter. For now, more music and entertainment on the sound of your city.